Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Living with Us. I'm your host, Sharon Mundia, and today's show, we're highlighting different careers, and we meet three incredible people on different days and get to hear a little bit more about what their 9 to 5 looks like. Now, we'll get to speak to a media and branding guru. We get to also speak to a visual artist whose work has been trending on Twitter, so I'm pretty certain you must have seen her work. And a guy who's been dealing with giraffes and conservation for the past 15 years. So there's a lot to learn, and it's really, really interesting. So let's get into it. All right, so I've got Vicky Rameau here with me, who's really essentially a storyteller at heart, and helps corporates as well in telling their stories and building their brands and being able to come out strong as their own entity. Welcome, Vicky. Welcome to not just the show, but to Kenya as well.
Thank you. No, I'm so pleased to be here because there was a false start. I tried to come to Kenya a couple years ago, and it didn't work out. Right. I had the tickets and everything, so it's amazing to finally be here. I actually grew up in Addis. Oh. But while I was in Addis as a kid, we never came to Nairobi. My mom came I know it's weird.
Wait, you grew up in Addis?
I did.
But you're from Sierra Leone.
I am.
And you work a lot in...
I live in Ghana.
Oh, you live in Ghana?
Yes, I do.
But you also lived in the States. So can you tell me about your background? Because obviously there's lots more to your story.
So I like to tell people that, I'm like a global refugee.
Okay.
A fancier way to say it would be like a global nomad.
Okay. Global nomad. Okay.
But I left Sierra Leone about when I was 12 during the Civil War, and I've lived in a lot of different places. My mom was a diplomat, so that afforded us the opportunity to travel a lot. She was based in Addis for about 10 years. And so I was there for 4, and then from there I moved to the US, which is where I did my high school and then undergrad and then grad school. And then I decided after undergrad I'd move back to Sierra Leone because we have to go and build our country. Yeah. We have to go there and do these things. So I moved to Sierra Leone after undergrad. I'd worked in the city. I worked for the New York State Department of Health for like a year. Moved to Sierra Leone because I wanted to be part of the post-war reconstruction. Moved back. I was there for 4 years. In that time, I co-founded a fashion company with my best friend called Ashabi Designs.
Right.
And yesterday was her 36th birthday, but she passed away a year ago.
Oh, bless.
So it was our baby.
Yeah.
And it was really amazing. I would like to say we spearheaded the, Afro cool fashion revolution in Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
And then after that, I moved back to New York. I started a TV show actually during that time as well, the Vicky Rameau Show, which started off as like a lifestyle-y thing, and then I was like, no, I'm a little too serious for like little chit chat in a studio, and I think that Africa is most interesting outdoors, and I wanted to tell stories about what was going on with Sierra Leoneans and West Africans outside of a studio set. So I took the show on the road, and we traveled to like 5 countries, went to Mali and Senegal and Ghana and Nigeria. Like one of my favorite episodes was we did a road trip from Dakar to Bamako. And took a train from the south of Mali into the city. I got arrested somewhere on the highway. Like it was so I've lived.
Yeah. So I'm curious to know, what did you study in uni?
So my first degree is in political science because there was a time when I thought I wanted to go into international development like my mom.
Yeah.
But then I decided that it really maybe was not for me, and so that's when I took those 4 years and went to Sierra Leone.
Okay.
And while I was in Sierra Leone, because I'd done the TV show, I really felt like storytelling was my thing. I'd started blogging like years before, but then you don't always kind of have the words. You don't know you're a storyteller, but you're telling stories.
Right.
You don't know you're doing journalism, but you're doing journalism, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't have the words and like the definitions and whatever.
Yeah.
And so I applied for graduate school. I got into Columbia from Sierra Leone, and then so I moved back to the US for that, and then I was in New York for about a year and a half, and I was like, I cannot come and be here and suffer this America life. my ancestors did not die for me to be here. Like, I need to go back to the continent.
Oh my God, okay.
And so I moved to Ghana. My mom was living there. She was still working for the government of Sierra Leone at the embassy.
Okay.
And I didn't have any money because graduate students don't have money. We're not supposed to have money, actually.
Yeah.
So I moved back to Ghana and I took my CV and I started cold calling. And I went to a TV station and say, hi, you know, I'm a TV producer. Rah, 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 here's my reel. And they're like, yeah, we don't like buy content, nor do we really hire producers like that.
Okay.
But thank you for coming.
Yeah. So
and then 2 weeks later, the person I'd met who was like the MD was like, I have a friend who owns a manufacturing company that's kind of looking for somebody with the skill sets you had on your CV, so come see me next week.
Yeah.
Went to see him and he took me and introduced me to this guy who owned a African textile manufacturing company called Printex. It's one of like so Ghana used to have about is it like 40 textile houses?
Okay.
It only has 4 now.
Yeah.
And it's one of the like last locally indigenous ones. And so, you know, I went to meet him and he was like, yeah, we're just looking for somebody to give us ideas. Looks like you have some, you know, fashion, something thing. And I was like, I could do that. And then he was like, but we're only paying $500 a month.
Okay.
And I was like,
Screech.
Yeah, but I was a poor grad student.
Yeah,
so I was like, okay, technically this isn't enough money for me to get out of bed every day. However, I'd never worked for a manufacturing company of any kind before. And I do have a very strong interest in African fashion, African textiles.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I know this is nothing, but like I want to learn, so I'll take it.
Yeah.
It was like a consultancy position. And so I was like, well, okay, fine, I'm gonna register a company. Maybe there'll be other opportunities, which I did. And then in the space of having the gig for a month, I did lots of market research and I put together a proposal and a strategic plan for them to say, okay, you know, maybe your marketing department can implement this.
Okay.
And then he came back, I did a whole presentation. I'm like, well, you know, this is what I think you guys should do.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't have anybody who could do any of this. Are you willing to
jump in,
do it? I was like, are you kidding? He's like, no, actually, you know, what would be your number? I said my number and he was like, sure. And I said, I also want a personal assistant. And he was like, sure, I'll pay for that too. I was like, and I also need a graphic designer. He's like, sure, I'll pay for that too. And I was like, wait,
yeah,
what?
So even I'm like, wait, what? And this is like right after your
Yeah, this is within a year of doing my graduate degree.
Graduate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just like, wait, what? Did I just like name my own price and like everything?
Yeah.
So yeah, I got that, and then within like 2 years, I was able to double my retainer fee with the same company.
Wow.
So it was amazing.
It's incredible. So how did you go from working with that one brand and then introducing other corporates into
once you do something successfully for one client, then it becomes a blueprint, right? So one, I got to learn about, you know, branding while doing the job, being a creative director. And then I was like, wait, you know, a lot of local brands, especially manufacturers of fast-moving consumer goods or just manufacturers, period, they usually have a sales department, but they don't have a marketing and a creative department because they're thinking about sales and distribution and like developing their distribution channels. And I was like, you know, I'm sure that there are other ones like this one. I mean, Printex is like a multi-million-dollar company. They're a huge part of Ghana's like textile industry. And I was like, I'm sure there are smaller ones. And so that's basically how I got started. I just was, you know, I identified that particular type of business could need my services, and I started looking for them. So since then, I've done business. We've represented the Heineken and subsidiary in Sierra Leone. Worked for Guinness. In Sierra Leone, actually, you know, elsewhere Heineken and Guinness compete, but in Sierra Leone, it's one company. So the Sierra Leone Brewery. I've done work for the local Coke subsidiary in Sierra Leone. Basically, anybody who's in fast-moving consumer goods, I've probably knocked on their door like, hey, what's up? Are you good? I love
that you also you took initiative and you went and started asking questions. But I also find it so interesting that that's not the only thing that you did. And in fact, you've also, like, you know, you're a producer. You recently even restarted the Vicky Remo show on YouTube. You've also got the magazine as well.
Yes.
So, and then again, going back to telling being a storyteller and specifically being very passionate about telling the African story, can you paint a picture of what that's been like and why you found these different outlets, whether it's YouTube, magazine.
Right. So the TV show actually started in 2008, 2009, but then I left it because we really barely had electricity in Sierra Leone in 2008, 2009. So I'd go and promote my show and look for sponsors, and they'd flat out tell me, how are people watching TV if we don't have lights?
Yeah.
I'm like, right. Good point.
I'll get back.
So I did that for about 3 years, but I wasn't, I mean, I was growing professionally, but financially, the numbers on my bank account were not growing.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't financially sustainable. I can't do it. So I left the show. I stopped doing the show for 7 years. And so I just started doing again last year. So we went into production. Ultimately, I feel like there is so much beauty and so much talent on the continent, whether it's in the businesses that we create and the things that we produce, or it's our landscape, it's our culture, it's our arts, our entertainment. So what I've tried to do with my platform and as an individual is find different ways to capture that. So if it's telling stories for local brands, I feel like that story is important. If it's a magazine for women, Go Women, which I started in 2014, to tell stories about, you know, women who I thought were like me and go-getters, self-starters, you know, taking the weird path, that those stories needed to be told because I didn't feel like there was an outlet for them. Or my TV show, which is a travel and business show that features, you know, people in West Africa who I think are doing amazing things. Of course, we want to go global. My thing is like, I want to be the Show Me Africa lady, right? The lady people come to is like, I want to see Africa, and I'm like, okay, I'll show you. Show Me Africa lady. I say that my show.
Oh, Show Me Africa lady.
Yeah, I say my show is a cross between like Oprah and Parts Unknown.
Okay.
Because yeah, we want to have the great conversations, but I really want to take you to places you haven't been and have you experience what the continent has to offer. Because there's so much here. There's so much here. So that's really my story. That once I accepted that I had a gift for storytelling, then it was easy to kind of find all these different pathways to fulfill that and to express myself.
Right. And what's it like juggling all these different roles? And it almost feels, I mean, I know essentially you're storytelling, but it almost feels like you're wearing so many hats. You're helping brands build essentially their brands. You're helping, you know, you've got the magazine, you've got the, you're also a mom. You're traveling all the time.
Yes.
You know, there's so much that you're doing. How do you not lose your mind?
Well, I do lose my hair sometimes. I must say. So one of the things that suffers the most when my schedule gets heavy is my hair, because then I can't deep condition and steam and treat. You know, natural hair requires so much love and attention.
A lot of love.
So it's like my hair will start to shed, and I'm like, you see, girl, you see what's going on in your life.
Your body is telling you.
Yes, no. So it is very difficult, but I've also learned that I'm not a one-woman army. Like when I first started out, I used to think that I could do everything. I don't. So I have 2 websites. I have like I have a personal blog, and then I have a website that's about Sierra Leone news that I blog on. And then there's the women's magazine, which suffers because I can't be everything and do everything. So the juggling is difficult, and I'm a single mom of a 3.5-year-old boy. I don't understand 3.5-year-old boys. Just to say that I was not prepared for boys. I
love your honesty, and I always just want to segue and be like, let's talk about.
No, I just want to say that I don't know. I was praying for a daughter because I felt like that's the language I could understand. God bless me with a son who is a boy. Like, he's such a boy. And so most of the time I'm looking at him like, I don't know what is this?
I can already feel that he's going to teach you so much.
My whole house is covered in pen and pencil and all of these things. It was a nice house before. So juggling means some things do suffer. I can't be everywhere at the same time. But I also hire people. right? I've decided that because I can't do everything, I'm a delegate. So like I have a personal assistant who lives in Accra and is on call.
Okay.
My digital and PR strategist lives in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I also have a full-time live-in nanny. And then my mom lives 15 minutes down the road. Actually, no, she just moved in with me last September. Take that back.
Okay.
My sister lives an hour from me.
Okay.
So when I do travel for a long haul, my son has like 4 other women who are his village, who help support me. I do get I call it single traveling working mom guilt. So which is that I feel bad if I have to be away, because I will plan to be away for 10 days and then a contract I've signed, they don't pay, I cannot leave if you have my money.
Yeah.
And then, like, we don't, you know, and then I'm like there 3 weeks, which is what happened last time I was in Sierra Leone. But this is the life I've chosen because it is a choice. I could get a 9 to 5 and just sit my butt down. And I've decided that I want to do all these things, and I feel like I've been blessed and I've been privileged, especially as a woman. I know that in my country, I'm in the 1% of the population. Most women, even if they wanted to do the things I'm doing, could not do it because they do not have the education, they do not have the self-confidence, they do not have the support system, they don't have the structures. So because I've been blessed, I feel like I have a responsibility to do more. I just launched a not-for-profit organization.
Pile it on, another thing on your target, because obviously you don't have enough that you're doing.
Because also I believe that, like, as a citizen, I have a responsibility. And so I started sister circles to create safe spaces for women in Sierra Leone to dialogue in a non-judgmental environment about sex and sexuality. Sierra Leone is dealing with lots of issues, and we're really far behind in terms of gender inequality, and a huge part of that is that we have traditional customs that work in tandem with our constitution to actually keep women disempowered. 90% of the women in Sierra Leone have experienced female genital cutting. 45% of women in Sierra Leone have been victims of intimate partner violence or domestic abuse. 30 to 39% of children are married before the age of 18. So we have a lot of work to do. And I think a huge part of that is that right from the onset, we start coding girls to believe that they're less, they're not worth as much, they're not valued as much. So you then get women who are adults, but they don't value themselves. There are lots of things that happen to people that they do not say, they cannot speak about. So what we're doing is creating these spaces to speak the unspeakable, because until somebody can heal and kind of find wholeness, they can't thrive. And so that's what we're trying to do with Sister Circles.
I love that. And ultimately, they will pass it on to the next generation, and it'll be transmitted whether you want to or not. Wow.
Absolutely. I mean, the first person I hired in the organization is somebody who I actually interviewed for a podcast, who was sexually assaulted as a child, raped by the time she was 13. Her first relationship with her son's dad was a physically abusive relationship where he used to take electrical cable cords and attempt to strangle her. She is only 26. And it's already like a life so fully lived. And I was just like, her story traumatized me. And, you know, she left her latest job because her employer was making passes at her. And I was like, first of all, girl, that's too much life in one life. But I also felt like, you know, that she wanted to share her story with me. She felt like I was a safe space I could be a repository for her.
And that's what you're trying to create.
Yes, and so now she's working for me, and she's organizing the first Sister Circles retreat. And so I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't get to be with my son, et cetera, but I'm empowering another young woman to take care of her own daughter who doesn't have a village, right? My son's gonna be fine.
No, obviously. So what, as we wrap this up, what would you say are you most grateful for with regards to your career?
The thing I'm most grateful for is the self-belief, right? I mean, I could say my education, I could say other things, but the thing that keeps me going is that no matter what it is I'm trying to do or trying to start or idea, I always know for a fact that I can do it. Not because somebody tells me to, it's just something that's innate. And I think that if you have, and it makes you fearless, right? You can take on new challenges. So it doesn't need, I could move here tomorrow without knowing everybody and feel like, listen, I got this, you know? Because I have self-belief. And I think that that's what a lot of people, they just need to believe in themselves because they can.
Can I say that you are radiating that? And I think it shows online, in your videos, in person. that you really do have a strong sense of self and belief in yourself. And I guess that's why you're as successful as you are. And you know, they say like, you can't do everything and wear all these hats. And I'm like, hi, have you met Vicky? Welcome to her life. Look at what she's doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
This
was
was
such a great chat. I know I feel like I just came and I talked right through.
I love it. But that's the idea. The idea is we're trying to understand like how you got to where you are and how you keep going. And I think you've done a great job of painting that picture.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you for watching. We've got a few more people lined up for you, so stay tuned. We're just taking a quick break, but we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Now, my next guest is an artist, a visual artist who has taken over Twitter by storm and the city. You've probably seen her work, and if not, you're going to be blown away. Her name is Naitiemu Nyanjom, and she's an incredible woman with a beautiful name too.
Thank you.
So I'm curious to know, I mean, you've done such an amazing job bringing life and vibrance to the city through the murals and the artwork that you do. Can you tell me about where that idea stemmed from?
So first and foremost, correction, we did the work. I didn't do it alone because it was a whole team and we worked with the community per se. So the whole idea stemmed from an organization called Switcheroo. It deals with the exchange, or rather sharing, between French artists and Kenyan artists. So it involved both visual artists and musicians. I was part of the Kenyan artists under the visual artists. So the whole idea behind the colorful connection, we call it the colorful connection, is to work with the community within our country here to bring hope through color. That is so simple because color is vibrant, color is hope, you know? And the moment that a child holds a brush, learns a new skill, they achieve something. There's something important about achievement. It makes you feel nice. It makes you feel you can do something. And that is, to me, the first step to hope. You know?
Right. Oh, beautiful. Yes. So the murals can be seen in Dagoretti, Kibera, and some parts of the CBD, isn't it?
Yeah, there's Kibera slums inside. There's the Kibera driveway. There's the Madare dump site. St. Dorcas Children's Home in Kawangware.
Right.
There's a Wale Wale Center in Jamhuri. Yeah, and then parts of CBD. Like the Alliance Française.
Yeah, I mean, I just have to say again, I just love that you're bringing beauty and art into spaces that most people would just think, no, like, how are you going to bring it out? And you're saying, actually, no, look, there's space for beauty and art to thrive.
Yes.
So incredible. So I'm curious to know, when did your love for art begin?
Wow. That is maybe when I was born or something.
So from the minute you came
From like
out,
the beginning, I was like, oh, this is an artist.
give her a paintbrush, give her art tools and everything.
Yeah, okay. At the beginning, you know, it wasn't like that much of give her tools because,
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, you know, we didn't have like such access to these resources. But I remember in primary school, I used to be that girl who draws the map of Kenya without tracing.
Okay,
You know,
so very early on,
Yeah.
you could tell that you were gifted.
Yeah, and then we got like my mother got us sketchbooks. We used to paint with my cousin and my brother. Not paint, but draw. Just super strikers. Remember?
Super Striker. Oh, yes. Wait a second. I feel like my brother used to be obsessed with that.
Yeah. I was obsessed with super strikers.
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
so your art is very versatile. Where does your inspiration come from?
From life. From my life, from the life of people around me, from just everyday activities, from mostly what I go through that I cannot really see, people can't really see, but it's something more psychological, you know? The mind, the human mind, my mind with others, yes.
At which point did you know that you wanted to pursue art as your career? At which point did you know you wanted to take it seriously?
Well, I did art and design in high school for 4 years. And then after high school, I did civil engineering. But as I did civil engineering, I still did art on the side.
Okay.
Like concurrently, you know?
Yeah.
So I think professionally, I started doing more of exhibitions and just really pursuing my art from 2015.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
And what's that been like? When you first, you know, decided for yourself and maybe said it out loud that this is what you wanted to pursue, what was the reception like, or people's reactions? And I ask because art in our society for the longest time, or any person in the creative field, it's not often received with like, oh yes, sure, yes, I love that, go you. It's usually like, how are you going to make it work? So what was the reception like, and how did you respond to that too?
Well, it's different. For one, I am very lucky that my mother's always told me, do whatever you can. Just do everything you can do. And so she never told me don't do it. She just told me do it. And so I did it. But many people will be like, why are you doing this? What are you going to do afterwards? I mean, you're an engineer, you're what? But for me, thing is, I do what I love. I have nothing to please anyone, you know? I am me, and that's who I'll be forever.
Right.
So I just do me.
And it comes through in your art. So speaking of like doing you, and earlier you even talked about like that the source of inspiration is your life and life around you. You've had such certain strong themes that have come out through your art. Can you talk us through some of those themes, like mental health and
Yeah, my main theme, as I've gone deeper and deeper in my art, is more to do with mental health awareness. Basically, I use myself as a subject because it's through my life that I'm able to express my truth, and through expressing my truth, I connect with other people's truths, because really we're not that different from each other. That's something I've realized. We are never that different. There's nothing so unique in terms of experiences in life. They're different, but they're not really different.
Yeah, and the running themes are usually the same. You know, forgiveness, compassion.
Yeah.
The themes are usually
for me.
aligned.
I started doing more of mental health topics because I have been like affected with a lot of things like depression stemming from trauma. Like I lost my father when I was 15, and we were very close, and I never got closure, you know, no therapy, just like continue with life as if nothing has happened yet, everything has changed. And that was 15, but I started feeling more of the effects, like when I was 18, 19, after high school, start like mingling with boys, and you start seeing, oh my gosh, I have a lot of issues, you know. But much later is when I discovered these were actually issues that stemmed from that kind of trauma that I experienced, you know. And at least I'm lucky that I am able to express myself through art, because I can pour out my emotions, I can pour out my thoughts and feelings through my art. And I was like, you know, this is not fair for people to go through life suffering and not being able to express themselves, you know, because everyone has something that they feel that they cannot really say, but they feel it. And so for me, I use my art to reach out to people. Like, this is my truth. Please tell me your truth. Let's have these conversations. Let's talk. Let's heal. Let's help each other heal, you know? Yeah.
Oh, bless. Beautiful. So you've traveled quite a bit or had your work also be exhibited in different parts of the world. Can you tell us some of those places?
Well, this is like Nigeria last year at the Generation Y exhibition under Retro Africa.
Yeah.
That was good. I really liked that.
Yeah.
There was also the Absalatelia in South Africa exhibition.
Yeah.
That was one of my major, I was like, yes.
Accomplishments. So what does that feel like, that moment where you are, you know, you're able to not just let your art be seen locally, but take it to a global scale and be acknowledged on a global scale?
Makes me feel like I'm growing as an artist, and also it makes me feel like there's no limitations, you know. For me, my vision is to go bigger and bigger and bigger, because the world is not in a little space. We can all communicate our thoughts and feelings and help each other on a global scale. Right now, it's so much easier with like social media, internet.
Yeah.
It's easy to travel. So for me, it's like reach as many people as you can.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Grow.
Right. Do you often get younger artists, or maybe not even younger, but just artists who are starting out, asking you like, how did you get to where you are? And if so, what advice do you usually give them?
Yes, a lot of time I get that. And for me, I just tell them, when you have a goal in mind, you wake up every morning and you tell yourself, this is what I'm going to do. Every day, you have to remind yourself, this is my goal. So it's not hard, but you just have to keep on doing what makes,
you're passionate about.
you have to keep on. Every morning you wake up and you're like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be the best artist in this world. I'm gonna keep on reminding yourself. And as you keep on reminding yourself, you keep on working, you know? Yeah.
So what does your typical day look like?
I'll wake up early in the morning. I'll do my morning run. I'll do my meditation. Then I'll get down to work. Probably do a bit of cleaning in the house. And then like start working, like start developing my ideas, because I work from home. And I love that because I have my own space. I work best in my own space, like without too much distraction from stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll start working, and within no time, I spend my whole day working, and I'm like, my gosh, I can't stop. I can't stop.
Yeah. And by working, what does that look like exactly? And maybe could you also break down what kind of tools or what you use to create your artwork?
I use different elements. At the moment, I'm working on metal and wood.
Yeah.
So the metal involves a lot of manipulation, like using hydrochloric acid, using ink, etching. So I'm basically there like a workman, you know.
Molding and bringing your vision to life.
Yes. I also like to work with people.
Yeah.
I've done like collaborations, like with photographers, amazing works created through collaborations.
Yeah.
For sure. I've done a lot of painting also, using acrylics, oils.
Oh, so you really are like as versatile as it gets. Like you don't let one kind of art form define you. It's
Not at all.
If you want to create,
I love to create.
You shall create.
Yes.
So I'm sure, I mean, the kind of response that Kenyans had on Twitter, especially when when the artworks and the murals were coming out, was just like incredible. You know, people were like, how does this continue? How does this expand and go into different parts of the country?
Yes.
And I know that that kind of that influx of appreciation and interest led you to start an Mchanga project. Can you tell us about that and how people can participate?
Yeah, the project actually, it caught me by surprise, the response, because I was just like on a normal day posting, oh, we did this. I mean, I love to share, you know.
Yeah.
And then there was so many people who really loved the project, and many people who condemned the project, terming it as LGBT inspired thing, which I didn't understand.
I don't
anyway, but
don't understand. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole Mchanga thing is to help push the project because the project was self-funded. We basically came together with the little resources that we had and decided to get the paint and get to work, you know, because we can't sit down and wait for, I don't know, funding from wherever when we can just do it by ourselves, you know. But we need the funding now to sustain the project, you know, to sustain so that we can reach more people and work with more people. And people are so many interested parties, which I'm so grateful for all the support. This is incredible. So people can reach us through a link in Mchanga link, where you can donate however little you have. It doesn't matter, even 10 shillings is okay to push a project, you know. And there's a participation form, still a link in my Twitter, in my Facebook that I will share, where you can sign up so that we can have a list of people who are interested and we can contact you anytime we have the project running.
So that they could come and help paint, you mean?
And experience, because the experience was amazing. For me, I grew. Just watching the kids working, seeing the determination in their faces, you know, like it's magical, you know, it's so nice.
And the Mchanga project, it's called, that's Rangi Art Love Project, right? Oh, wow. Naitiemu, thank you so much for gracing us and for sharing your story and showing how art can really, truly transform not just lives, but spaces too, in a way that it just feels brighter, better, hopeful. And that's a word you used, right? Hope.
We need hope, you know. There's too much negativity. We have to have positivity because that is the only thing that can lead us forward, you know. A negative space is never a conducive environment for anyone to grow. And right now we're looking at our generations. We need people who are better than us now. We need children who will rise up and say, I can do this. And they do it, you know?
Thank you. Thank you so much, and we wish you all the best. Again, if you want to donate to the Mchanga project, it's Rangi Art Love Project. Okay. Thank you again. We've got to take a break, but we'll be right back in a moment with another career highlight for you.
giraffes and wildlife in general.
Wow. Okay. So that's I understand that. I get it. So, but I'm sure your work is a lot more than that. And I'm curious to know, growing up, is that what you wanted to do? Were you always interested in wildlife and conservation?
I grew up in a village far from Nairobi, and I interacted with the animals right from the point go.
Okay.
I started herding cattle and goats, and I would interact with some wildlife out there. And it came to a time when I was in class 4 and I said, I want to be a conservationist. And it's a dream that
Class 4?
Class 4.
Wow.
Definitely, I did not think of the word conservationist.
Right, yeah.
But I said to myself, I would like to take care of animals and make sure that they are not hurt. And I remember telling my class teacher that when I grow up, I would like to be one person who will be with the animals, feed them, treat them, and more or less take care of them.
I love that. So at some point then, it goes from just wanting to take care to then you need to study something. You need to really pursue this in school. So can you tell me about that period of your life? What kind of classes did you have to take? Subjects, whether it's in high school or even courses in uni, and thereafter, to be and to do what you do today?
Through high school, I remember that I was very passionate and I loved biology very much.
Okay.
I also did quite a bit of chemistry.
Yeah.
But all along I knew that I will end up doing either biology or zoology.
Okay.
So when I finished Form 4, I ended up joining a university where I did pursued zoology and botany. And zoology is a study of animals, and for sure I knew that I'm on the right track. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in zoology, and I remember at some point feeling like I was more or less cheated out, because when you come out here with a bachelor's in zoology and botany, you wonder where to work.
Yeah.
Because there are not so many fields where environment is most probably applicable.
Okay.
We had very few openings as opposed to people who did business.
So for instance, like what were those openings available to you?
Yes, I was looking at working with the Kenya Wildlife Service.
Okay.
And you can imagine if we were so many of us and all of us thinking like that, then the opportunities were very few. I also thought of quite a number of sanctuaries. I remember even before I graduated, I sent a letter to the Giraffe Center to work with them. And unfortunately, I got a regret that they do not have an opening. Luckily, after I finished my university, I was able to work with National Museums of Kenya briefly, where I was really working with insects. Yeah. And thereafter, I joined Kenya Wildlife Service. Okay. I did not stay at Kenya Wildlife Service for long before I went to work with the Giraffe Center. And I have worked with the Giraffe Center for, this is my 15th year. Yeah. Taking care of the giraffes, and also doing quite a number of researches about the giraffe.
Is it that you were always interested in giraffes, or it just so happened that your work brought you into, you know, being an expert when it comes to giraffes, their needs, you know?
I got interested in giraffes when in my second year at the university.
Okay. Oh, so there was like a spark there, a passion.
Yes, because when I visited Nakuru National Park during our field safari, I went and saw the giraffes and I said, I think this is the animal I want to study.
That's so interesting. So now when you say you want to study a giraffe,
yes.
What are you studying? What are you trying to observe about them?
There are quite a number of aspects that you can study about the giraffes. Yeah. One, the behavioral aspect, whereby you will study the giraffes and understand how it lives with the other giraffes and other animals, how it feeds, how it breeds, and most probably when it gets sick, what happens and how can you tell about that it's sick. Okay. So those are some of the things that I really wanted to understand. Okay. But currently, I'm actually pursuing my PhD at Kenyatta University, and I'm looking at the giraffes. And the interest that I have here with the giraffe is that I believe that giraffes were created to more or less benefit humanity. Okay. And therefore, I'm trying to find out where these two meet, the giraffe and the people. Where do they meet?
So
you know,
interesting.
Yes, that's what I'm looking at, and I want to believe that at the end of it all, I will be able to bridge that gap where people now will interact harmoniously with these giraffes. Yes.
So, George, earlier you were explaining that it was a little difficult for you when you know, right out of school are looking for a job and there are not that many fields or, you know, spaces open for you to jump in.
Yes.
Has it changed? Is that space different now for anyone who'd be studying zoology and or thinking of taking it on? How different is that?
I believe currently things have slightly changed. They are better off than when most probably I finished university.
Okay.
Simply because those olden days, people looked at anybody who was pursuing things to do with environment and maybe wildlife to be more or less an inferior field as opposed to other fields, stock of medicine, accounting.
Right.
But currently I have seen a lot of effort coming on board where, you know, people believe that if you are pursuing anything to do with wildlife and environment, then you are in the right place because everybody else will work within the environment. And therefore things are opening up. So there are more opportunities than there used to be.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what does a typical day in your life look like?
My typical day starts very early in the morning.
Okay.
And I wake up and drive to work. And the first thing that I've always done is to make sure that all the giraffes are well. Yeah, there are pointers that I can look at. I can look at the fur, the body coat. I can look at the eyes. They can tell me whether the animal is feeling well or not.
Yeah.
And also I can also look at the movement the animal is making, whether it's restless, is it active, is it feeding well. So I'm able to examine and look at that. And then after that, I also receive reports from our security patrols. They move around just to make sure that all the giraffes are well. If there is anything that has happened, I receive that and I'm able to incorporate that in my daily work.
Okay.
And after that, I usually go up to the platform. We have a platform where people are able to feed the giraffes.
Yeah. This is at the Giraffe Center.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I go up there and make sure that you know, the giraffes are visiting the platform as they should be.
Okay.
And I also make sure that they have enough water. They have you know, they have salt blocks that they keep licking every day. And also the feed is available for them.
Okay. Yeah. So what would you say is a challenging aspect to your work?
Giraffes are very weak animals in such a way that if the giraffe gets sick in the morning, if you don't take any measure, then by evening you will not have the giraffe. It will have died. Yes, they are very weak animals.
What, in less than a day?
Yes, very strong when looking at them and very beautiful, majestic as they walk.
Yeah, and I mean, they can, like, one kick will knock you out. Like, they seem like very powerful animals. Sure, they're graceful, but in less than 24 hours,
yes,
you could lose a giraffe.
You could lose a giraffe simply because now remember that the giraffes have the highest blood pressure. They have the biggest heart, which measures between 11 and 12, kilograms heavy, and that heart pumps 76 liters of blood a minute. Okay. So what happens is that when the giraffes go down with any disease, most of the time the systems start collapsing. They are not able to pump the blood as they should be doing. They are not able to control the digestive system as they should be. And at the end of the day, if the giraffe was walking high and mighty, and you find that most probably by midday the neck has slanted a bit, you are sure that this giraffe is really going down.
So you really have to be observant.
Yes.
Because in less than a day, that is...
Exactly.
That's incredible. Last question to you.
Yes.
What's the most fulfilling part of your career?
The most fulfilling part of my career is when I see the giraffes live very well and breed. Particularly when they breed, I feel very happy. As I said, Rothschild giraffes are endangered, and that's what we are trying to keep breeding and introducing back into the wild.
Yeah.
So when a young one is born and I see it grow to about 3 years of age, so that we can translocate it back into the wild, I'm really, really fulfilled.
Oh, okay.
That very day when we actually carry out the translocation, because we do it in collaboration with Kenya Wildlife Service, it's a day that lives in my mind forever, because I always know that yes, we have contributed one more into the environment,
right,
and the numbers are growing.
Right, because like you said, the Rothschild giraffe is endangered.
Very
And
much
earlier,
endangered.
actually, you were sharing with me that Kenya is the only country in the world that has 3 different species of the
Subspecies.
giraffe. Subspecies of the giraffe.
Yes, this is the only place you can visit to see all of them.
All of them.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for your work and for, you know, and here's the thing, a lot of us will just take it for granted. We'll just go to Giraffe Center and feed the giraffes, have a giraffe kiss if you want to,
Yes.
and say goodbye, but you don't know what it takes to keep that alive and don't understand the kind of impact it's having on the community. So thank you, George.
Thank you and welcome.
All right, so that was our show, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it and that you learned something new about someone else's career. Today's show was actually really, really interesting for me. Now, before I love you and leave you, here is a short clip from My Dawa, which, by the way, I'm sure you've downloaded the